When your father's gone, what happens to you then? Huh? You know they'll never open up the books to a woman.
Delia is my friend. Do you understand?
Yeah, well, I understand you need better friends. Be honest, Stella. What does that old black lady have over you?
She doesn't have anything over me. I consider her like family.
What the fuck, Joe?
Alright, so Godfather of Harlem season 4 episode 8 just got really good. It got really good because you seen at the end where Joe Colombo basically pulls the bullet out. You know I'm tired. He shoots Fred Stroud in the head and takes the contract and was like, well, now Bumpy has nothing. He takes the St. Clair Club and everything, and it's just like, what the hell happened? And because we see like Bumpy was talking to Mamie and he was like, he felt defeated because he was like, they played him, he lost, and he's just gonna sign everything. Yeah, he gets to have the money and fight another day, but it's like, now that Joe Colombo has the money, I think what's gonna happen is Bumpy Johnson is gonna probably reach out to Chin Gigante, and I think they're gonna probably try to make this deal or something, because in the beginning when Chin was like, well, we can go like 50-50, or he was giving him like a generous offer of, I understand, but I still want to cut, because at the time it's like Bumpy was trying to do something for black people, only for black people, like black owned, like something for black people, but greedy Chin was like, well, I kind of want a piece. And he's like, what you mean a piece? And then that's when they kind of had this whole disagreement, and it happened the way it did. So I'm like, oh shit. And it's like, Joe fucked up, because now that you've made an enemy out of Bumpy Johnson, like Bumpy is gonna go through hell just to get back his club. And then also that since Marshall Grant is dead, obviously because of the influence or the direct involvement of Joe Colombo, it's like it just made things worse, because Marshall Grant was like a guy that was actually dating or was involved with Marble Johnson at the time. And it's like, he does this, and it's like you killing off another remnant of Bumpy Johnson's like family in a sense, because they was gonna be, I guess, wedded at one point, but stuff happened with her. But it's like, damn, man, now you got Bumpy Johnson, he's gonna have to go to war with this shit, because again, what we've seen with Frank Lucas and Bumpy, it's like it's a whole mentorship, like a whole partnership with them. And in the beginning parts of it, you had Pettigrew and Chance talk about, like how Frank is under like Bumpy, and then Pettigrew is like, man, I don't like this shit, and it's stemming back to how he was saying that Bumpy Johnson with a heart attack, and how Bumpy Johnson should have never got out the Doogie game because it was better this way. Now, drop your comments and your thoughts down below if you think that Bumpy probably might get back into the Doogie game and be like, well, maybe this wasn't the right way to do this, even though he was trying to live up to Malcolm X's like status, not to status, but just live up to him in a way of trying to do things differently. But it's like, now that you got this shit happening, it's very interesting. But I know that in the story of what they're telling with like, Bumpy Johnson and Frank Lucas is, like I said, it's like a mentorship. But the thing is, there's been conflicting reports in the past, like with the actual like Bumpy Johnson, where Mamie Johnson said that Frank Lucas was actually a stooge for Bumpy Johnson. He was never really the person that was really directly under him, working for him like that. He was considered to be a stooge. Now, we know that Frank Lucas said in previous interviews where it was like Mamie has her story and then he has his story of how he was like under Bumpy Johnson's wing. But there was a character that nobody really talks about as much as this guy named Flash Walker, because Flash Walker was a guy that was under the tutelage of Bumpy Johnson, but then there was a time where they had a falling out because Flash, I guess, was either touching on one of Bumpy Johnson's daughters, and Bumpy Johnson beats the shit out of him, and then he tries to reconcile with Bumpy, and then it failed, and then that's when he had some drugs planted inside his place or whatever, or some shit happened, and that's when he got sent to Alcatraz for like 15 years. But nobody really talks about like the Flash Walker character. Nobody really talks about him as much. But you know, it's just interesting of how like they're spinning the story and how the story was spent with like between, you know, Bumpy Johnson and Frank Lucas. But I mean, I love all of it. I love all of it because at the end of the day, it's history. Even though the history may be construed a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's still history, and it's still good to know about like the things that happened back in the 60s, 50s, 40s, 30s, like, you know, because it's history. But you know, we had all of that, and then we had like you know, some stuff with like Elise and, you know, trying to help out. See, now you make me forget. Then you had some stuff with like Delia and her son, I think Jerome, I think his name was, where she was talking to him about like not for him not to join the military because it was like you're fighting like a Vietnam War, and it's like at the time she was explaining like, you know, black people is going through so much and to sacrifice yourself for a war that, you know, you're gonna be treated like shit. And I'm pretty sure that the black people who actually fought in the Vietnam War was probably treated like garbage, was treated like shit. It's like you ain't getting no fucking recognition of no. I'm pretty sure they was treated fucking horrible back in those days. But she was trying to convince him, so she tried everything, and then that's when she had Cassius Clay, aka Muhammad Ali, try to talk to him and try to like say, listen, this isn't the right way to go, right? And then he still was trying to say like, no, he wants to fight in the war. So that's when she talks to Stella to say, maybe you should get some of your guys to maybe kidnap him. Pino says, I'm not doing this shit. This is for the Genovese family. And he's like, I don't give a fuck what you want. So I was like, oh, well, you know how it goes with the Italians. You already know how it goes. But that's when she goes over to Elise, and that's when she talks to like, you know, some of the Black Panthers to try to like kidnap him, which the plan almost worked until that's when Elise gave him another option, like, why don't you join the Panthers? But then he just was there contemplating about everything that was happening, of the discussions that he had with like Cassius Clay, and about like joining the war, and about fighting and picking your own battles, and even dying. Because if you go to a war and you fight that war, chances of you living and coming out of that war is like 50-50. Because if you survive, you come back home, you can come back home broke. Well, you will be broken because after the things that you have seen, but if not, then you might not come back at all. And then the chances of you having a family, you know, loved ones, all of that, it's gone, it's done, right? But he made the right choice, and that's when he's joining like the Panthers, and he's gonna like fight the war like that needs to be fought, and that's gonna be there. That's gonna be there. But man, I just can't wait for the next episode. I can't wait for like episode 9, because I'm pretty sure Chin has to come back at this point, because Joe Colombo, he's like, he didn't forget anyway, because after what both Chin and Bumpy did to him, he didn't forget, because he was like, nah, man. So he basically said this is his own little revenge, and he's gonna like stick it to Bumpy, because he's like, yep, you gonna do what you know best, selling Doogie somehow. Oh, you ain't gonna get away with this. You ain't gonna get away with this. And I think it's gonna probably be like either Bumpy and Frank that's gonna kill Joe together, or it probably might just be well, who knows, because I keep forgetting about the whole like the 5 family thing. So like, I don't know how that sanction is gonna happen, or how is it gonna work, but it's gonna happen, because he was trying to talk to Stella and trying to say like, well, which he made a fair point, because it's like, what's gonna happen to her after when Chin goes away, and you know there's not going to be a female that's actually going to be in charge of running the family. There has to be somebody else. And he's like, well, if we work together, then things can work out for our benefit, because nobody's not going to respect you like that. He has a fair point, but he was still manipulating the truth a little bit, because again, in the future of what's going to happen to Chin Gigante is like, he does go away. He does go away, and somebody does take over the family, because he does go away. But it's like he was making like a fair point on that, which she was like, well, I have to like think about. But I'm telling you, it's like to live in those times and just to know that you have, you know, racist cops and you got a whole bunch of other rhetoric that's going on. You being a black person, you can't have or do certain things because either A, because of the color of your skin, because of the context of your character. It's just a whole bunch of shit that was just going on back in the days, and it's like, damn. Like that shit was kind of crazy though. But you know, drop your comments and your thoughts down below. Do you think that do you think that Bumpy is gonna get his club back? Do you think he's gonna get his club back? How do you guys feel about like maybe season 5 potentially probably like being the last? Because I'm thinking they're gonna probably like wrap up a couple of things with the story with, like, you know, Joe Colombo. There might probably be some more things, and then also I think Robert Morgenthau, because he's still gonna have to play a big part into this as well, because he didn't forget what happened the last time when he had his daughter like snatched up. So if anything, I could probably see Joe probably going back to prison again. If he doesn't get killed, I could probably see him going back to prison again. And I feel like the FBI the feds will come into a play again and be like, well, I mean, he has control of Bumpy's nightclub. How did this happen? Yeah, some shit gonna go down. I feel like Bumpy probably might, at the end, might lose the nightclub. I think he will. And then I think it's gonna have to force him to go back into the Doogie game. That's my prediction. I think he's gonna lose the nightclub, can't get it back, and then he has no choice but to go into the Doogie game. I think so. Like, he's gonna probably figure that there's no escaping this. He tried going down the right path. It fucked him. Now he's back. I think so. I can see that. I can see that towards the end. I can see that. But, you know, let me know what you guys think. And, you know, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And I'll catch you all in the next one.